Peter Singer on the issue premise of the taxation of the 1%. According to Singer, lack of food, shelter, and medicine is bad and morally impermissible. If it is in our power to prevent something bad from happening without thereby sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance, we ought to morally do it. Without sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance means without causing anything else comparable bad to happen, or doing something that in itself, or failing to promote a moral good. Therefore, it is morally permissible that we prevent this bad event without sacrificing anything of moral importance. The only way to prevent lack of food and shelter without sacrificing anything of moral importance is to give maximally. To give maximally is to give as much we can, as much as we can, or at least very much more than what we currently give. Now, debates between income inequality and the increase of the federal income taxes of the rich to fund public expenses have been more controversial than other. Thus, is it morally permissible for the government to increase federal taxes on the wealthier 1% of the population? Federal taxes are taxes levied by the United States Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, on the annual earning of individuals, corporations, trusts, and other legal entities. Federal income taxes are applied on all forms of earning that makes up a taxpayer's taxable income, such as in employment earning or capital gains. The United States Internal Revenue Service is a U.S. government agency responsible for tax collection and tax law enforcement, which includes tax forms, instructions, and agency publications. The top 1% earners in the United States are individuals who earn more than $516,633. The top 1% highest income households of the United States population is taxed at 22.83%. The top 1% controls 35.6% of the wealth in the United States. The public expenses are services paid by federal income taxes, which includes national defense, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, interest on national debt, and safety net programs such as welfare, unemployment, and homeless shelters. Social Security is a government program that provides economic assistance to persons faced with unemployment, disability, or ageness, financed by assessing of employers and employees. Social Security is a service provided. It provides benefits to about 2.3 million spouses and children of retired workers, 6.1 million surviving children and spouses of deceased workers, and 10.8 million disabled workers and their eligible dependents. Medicare is a program under the U.S. Social Security Administration that reimburses hospitals and physicians for medical care provided to qualifying people over 65 years old. Nearly 2/3 of the amount, or $546 billion, went to Medicare, which provides health coverages to around 55 million people who are over the age of 65 or have disabilities. Welfare. Welfare is a work plan or work to better the Social Security or economic conditions of various underprivileged groups. Homeless shelters are temporary residents of desperation for homeless people who seek to protect vulnerable populations from the often devastating effects of homelessness, while simultaneously reducing the environmental impact of the community. About 10% of the federal budget in 2005, or $362 billion, supported the program that provided aid, other than health insurance or Social Security benefits, to individuals and families facing hardship. So, is it morally permissible to increase the tax rate? Yes, it is morally permissible to increase the federal tax rate on the top 1% income earners because the federal taxes help prevent bad things from occurring. If there was not enough federal taxation on incomes, there would not be many government assistance programs such as Social Security, Medicare, welfare, or any homeless shelters. With the lack of federal taxation funding, many disabled, elderly, special needs, and low-income families cannot receive the services they require. This would lead to lack of food, shelter, and medicine. This also means that having lack of federal taxation would be morally impermissible. It is also in our power to prevent this bad occurrence from happening. Therefore, it is also the 1%'s responsibility to prevent bad events from occurring without sacrificing any of their moral importance. Because the 1% versus the 99% of the population owns more than 35.6% of the nation's wealth, there would not be a comparable moral importance if they had to pay more taxes. To be a part of the 1%, a person would have to earn over $516,663. At that amount, the federal taxation rate would be at 22.83%. This means that the person will be paying only $117,947 in taxes. For the 1% to prevent bad occurrence from happening, they must give maximally. The minimal tax that the 1% would only have to pay is $117,947. That still gives the 1% room to give more to prevent the bad occurrences. Therefore, it is morally permissible to increase the federal tax rates on the 1% to prevent bad occurrences such as lack of food, shelter, and medicine from happening.